Hello and welcome back in for another video. So if you are not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. It helps me out so much. So we're going to be talking about the Eldar Exodites. So for those of you who do not know who they are, the Exodites were a group of Eldar who saw the fall coming. So the birth of Slaanesh and the destruction of the Eldar Empire. And millennia before this took place, they seeded a bunch of worlds and kind of separated themselves out from the Eldar and went back to kind of time where they were doing manual labor again. They do things, that in Eldar society is kind of done by, robots or is done by technology. And it's really funny with this idea because they're kind of like, I guess the Amish, of that society. But many of the Exodite groups that were living on these planets were completely untouched by the birth of Slaanesh. And over time, I, for one, have said for a long time that they should bring out the Corsair models and they should bring out the Exodite models. So they've started bringing out Corsair models. So they've got that first squad that we got in the Kill Team box. So I'm going to be making a video about other models that I want to see from the Corsairs and also a video about the Exodites. So doing kind of some deep dive lore into them and doing some videos about, models that I would like to see and possible stat lines and rules for some of the models. But I've been looking at stuff online, kind of getting ready for this video. I found someone's Instagram account that is insane. It is so cool, and it's got Exodite conversions. So it is Dire Spire. So if you've got Instagram, please check out their Instagram page, toss them a follow, and their conversions are nuts. They're so cool. But again, specifically, we're going to be looking at some of the Exodite conversions here. So here you've got one of the Lizardmen models with kind of the Fire Prism tank attachment on top of it. So with the Exodites, with them living in these kind of like pre-Craft World ship kind of environments, they've built cities on these planets that again are stationary cities, and they work in tandem with the local wildlife. So a lot of the times they take the shape of kind of dinosaurs for the most part. You've got kind of giant birds as well that they'll use, but essentially whatever wildlife are on the planet they harness and utilize, and it's just insane because in all the lore in the books that I'm going to be going through some of these other videos, they have some crazy stuff that they actually ride. So that's a good example kind of what they'd use for one of their tanks. But this is one of the craziest things. So in one of the books that I'm going to be talking about, Promethean Sun, some Primarchs are fighting Eldar Exodites on this planet. And there's a Farseer who's riding a giant pterodactyl. Like, crazy. It's so cool. And this is a good example of that, where I believe it's a old high elf dragon model. It's got web spinners under the wings. Like, this is just so cool. It's such a good conversion. Again, like just so many good little ideas here. Like, here's another Lizardmen model here from the other side. And then they've got this as well. Like, it's got the little bike on, attachment on here. These conversions are so cool. This is exactly the sort of thing I would love to see from Games Workshop. And again, they literally could take the Lizardmen models and include them in kits with just with bits just to make these a reality. They're insane. Again, I'd like to thank Dire Spire for letting me take a look at their conversions for this video. As I go through other stuff, I'll be referencing some of these pictures more. But it just shows where I also had the wiki open, and they have some of these old pictures, and one that I thought was really funny was this one, where it's, you've got some Marines fighting some Howling Banshees. You're like, oh, this is standard. And then, they're riding some Velociraptors. You're like, that's odd. And then there's this in the background, and you're like, what is this? But this is exactly what the Exodites are. Some of the creatures that they utilize are massive. It's crazy. The fights that they get into with the Space Marines are just nuts, where they're, again, Marines kind of get used to fighting Eldar, Dark Eldar. Sometimes you throw the Corsairs in there where their tech's kind of caught in between the two worlds. But the Exodites are their own thing. They are not the normal facet of Eldar, where they say it was a very small portion of the Eldar that became Exodites. But again, they were untouched at the fall. Their civilizations were completely intact. So it's just a really cool kind of niche area for the Eldar. And again, over the next few videos, I'll be going over more stuff with them. So please stay tuned for those, and I'll see you soon.